What's happening, people? I hope you're all well. So Chris Eubank Jr. is only a marginal favourite with the bookies going into his fight against Conor Benn. So let's talk about that. But first, let me say this video is a video coming from a complete stranger online. Please be responsible when competing in the markets. So Chris Eubank Jr. is, according to Paddy Power, let me get Paddy Power up. Paddy Power only have Chris Eubank Jr. as 7-4 on to win the fight, and then Conor Benn is 5-7, 7-5 against. So Chris Eubank Jr. is 7-4 on. Conor Benn is 7-5 against. So those are real narrow odds. People are really giving Conor Benn, almost an even shot at winning the fight. And as gamblers, we need to look at finding misprices in the market, and then we can exploit that to generate profit. So for me, when I look at Chris Eubank Jr., I look at a fighter who is, I saw them facing off yesterday. He is huge compared to Conor Benn. Conor Benn looks tiny. I know Conor Benn's going to come in at 160, but he didn't even come across to me as a big, a big welterweight. He was competing at 147, right? He never came across to me as a big welterweight. So for him to be coming in at 160, he's gonna look like bigger than usual. But he's, compared to Chris Eubank Jr., I know there's a rehydration clause, but the natural bone density difference is going to be night and day. And so I just think that Chris Eubank Jr., even at 34, maybe slowing down a bit, he's going to be too big for Conor Benn, So then we need to look at, when a fighter is so much bigger than another fighter, we need to look at, does the smaller fighter have the equalizer? And the equalizer is the punch power. When we look at David Haye versus Valuev back in 2009, I think, David Haye had the equalizer, and you saw he put Valuev on shaky legs. I don't think Conor Benn has that. I don't think Conor Benn has that. He did have it. He appeared to have it in his weight class at one point, but then there was some controversial findings. He subsequently went on to fight 2 more times after that, and those opponents were not stellar opponents, and he couldn't stop them. So for me, Conor Benn doesn't have the equalizer. Now, does he have some other advantages? He probably has a speed advantage at this stage, but I don't think it would be anything like glaringly obvious. So for me, Chris Eubank Jr. to only be, what was it, 7-4, was it 7-4? Yeah, 7-4 on. I think that is a steal for people trying to, make money in the markets. I think that Chris Eubank Jr. is betting on Chris Eubank Jr. to outright win the fight. I think is a really if you're analyzing the market, that is a good bet to potentially take. Chris Eubank Jr. to outright win the fight. And if you really want to hedge the play, I would say you'd want to hedge the play with Conor Benn by knockout. And I know I just was there talking about Conor Benn's lack of power, but can you really see Conor Benn winning this on points? I would say that Conor Benn is perhaps the house fighter, you could say. But I don't see Conor Benn winning it on points. He hasn't got the... Conor Benn is like an aggressive front foot fighter. I don't think he has the skills, looking at him to outpoint Chris Eubank Jr. So even though he hasn't got the power, I think he's more likely to win by knockout than points. But when I look at the size difference, when I look at the skill gap, I would even put Eubank Jr. ahead on the skills department. And then when I look at the speed, maybe Conor Benn's a little bit faster, but nothing pronounced. And then I look at the fact that Conor Benn's coming up and, to 160, first fight in 160. I only see Chris Eubank Jr. 90% something winning the fight. And the sensible bet to take would be Chris Eubank Jr. to win the fight outright, hedging the play with Conor Benn by stoppage. But you let me know what you think anyway. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment, hit the notification bell so you get a notification when I make a new video. If you appreciate my work and want to leave a donation, there's a link for that in the description. With that, enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you on the next one.